Santora,
Yep.
the comic stripper, and Poundcake's back there as well. Metallica's Kirk Hammett. Some of his finest work here. According to him, you could throw a dart and hit a great Kirk Hammett guitar solo, but he said that his work on the song One is one of his 3 favorite solos. He said that, I think maybe Creeping Death and then a newer track. Those were the 3 that he liked playing the most or was the most proud of. But if you're a Kirk Hammett fan, even as big of a band as Metallica is, I never felt like Kirk Hammett. I always felt like people took Kirk Hammett for granted. He wasn't a founding member of Metallica. He came along from a band called Exodus after the whole Mustaine mishigas with Metallica, but for some reason, and I could be wrong, but I grew up a hardcore Metallica fan. I still love him. I always felt like people took Kirk Hammett for granted because Metallica was always the Hetfield and Ulrich show. But he's a phenomenal guitar player, obviously. But he's going to release his first solo album. I guess he's just been sitting around doing some noodling, and so figured why not put it out. And it's an EP. It's 4 songs. But it'll be his first stab at something outside of Metallica, or at least on his own. The album is called Portals, and it'll be out on April the 23rd. So if you want to see what Kirk Hammett's been working on his own, it's an instrumental EP. It's 4 songs. And I think it's part of Record Store Day. Record Store Day feels like it used to be once a year, and now it feels like it's once a month.
It was once a year, and I think they do it quarterly now.
I mean, whatever drives...
When's the next one?
April 23rd, I
Okay.
think that's, I think that's part of...
Then maybe it's twice a year.
Whatever puts people in record stores, I'm all for it. But back in the day, Record Store Day felt like a big deal, and now it's happens all the time. So if you're a Kurt, and all these guys in Metallica, listen, they've all made tons of money, so they all have hobbies and they have side hustles and all kinds of things. They don't need to do anything that they're doing. They're not hustling for the money, They're just trying to do what they want to do creatively. They've got time to do it. They work on their own clock. When they want to record an album, they do. When they want to tour, they do. When they don't, they don't. So Lars Ulrich is an art collector and all this kind of stuff, right? But Kirk Hammett is a big horror movie fan and things like that. So he kind of goes in that direction, whereas Lars Ulrich has kind of been more of the art connoisseur, wine cellar type of guy. But whatever, different strokes. So if you're a Metallica fan, that means you love Kirk Hammett. And so his EP is going to be out on April 23rd, just FYI. Now, in other rock star news, there's a guy running around knocking people's dinner over in Florida saying that he was Mick Jagger. He is not Mick Jagger.
Hell yeah.
This guy was hammered, he was drunk, and he's bothering people who I can only assume are out there dining al fresco. He stormed a stage, and he was picking fights with people, and he was bothering people while they were eating. This was a guy who was arrested after a drunken romp through several bars in Florida.
Man, they couldn't stop him.
Once you start this guy up, it's never going to happen.
This is why Florida's awesome!
A man by the name of Eugene Bingham, who is 60 years old, was getting kicked out of multiple bars. This is in Naples, Florida. So once he got done getting kicked out of bars, he jumped on stage while there was a band performing and started yelling at people that he's Mick Jagger.
I have no sympathy for this devil.
He said, I'm not the only one with mixed emotions here. So he tried to fight a cop, and he ended up on the ground. That's how I like a drunken story to lay out.
Yeah.
You start light, you bother some diners, get kicked out of a couple of bars. That's, level 1. Then you go to, hey, there's a band playing over there. It's Florida. There's always a band playing somewhere. Let's go jump on stage. Level 2. You're going to get kicked off that stage. There's going to be security. The band's going to give you the stink eye. Then start yelling at everybody, I'm Mick Jagger. I'm supposed to be up here. I'm Mick Jagger. Level 3. And then you fight a cop. Level 4. He told the cop, don't F with me. Don't frick with me. Leave me the frick alone. They arrested him, and he proceeded to vomit in the back of the police car.
Yes.
Ooh.
But he was yelling at people, just slurring his words.
You painted it black.
Funny!
That's right, going table to table to table. So there's another street fighting man, Bill, who's
Good one.
who's just causing trouble and whatever. But listen, if you're going to go big. Nobody's going to go out there and go, I don't know. You're going to go, I'm Mick Jagger. You're going to go right to it.
Yeah, you go to one of the most recognizable guys on the planet,
Of course.
hoping that you can get away with it.
Hoping that people won't realize you are not that guy. They go, maybe?
This is why Florida's awesome!
This guy has a lot of liquid courage, a lot of unearned confidence here. And again, he's not in a ton of trouble. It's like a drunken disorderly, whatever, right? They said he wasn't processed into jail for medical reasons. I'd love to know what was in that puke.
Ew.
256. I think we finally got one.
It's
from
Florida,
you. Yeah.
so it's probably got
Yeah.
COVID in it. It's, whatever. It's not like he vomited through a mask
Yeah.
in the back of the police car. So, again, I hope they get this all figured out. But it does make you think, because it was just a couple of months ago that Mick Jagger himself went to a bar and no one knew who he was. This was big news. They were in Charlotte, and he went to grab a pint at a bar post-show, and nobody knew who he was. And so for 24 hours, everybody was kind of like, ha, 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 stupid kids, don't know Mick Jagger. It's not their fault.
Wasn't even
They
the
don't know
kids.
who Mick
There's
Jagger.
people that were at the show.
Right,
that owned
who were at the bar.
Yeah, like,
right.
That's
Yeah.
so embarrassing, bro.
Well, no, they were at the show. They weren't at the
They
bar.
weren't at the- but
they
like-
were mad because they're like college-age bartenders didn't know who Mick Jagger was.
But why would they?
He's
He's just an old guy to
That's
them.
what I'm saying. There's no reason why the kids would know who Mick Jagger was. But very quickly, that story became Mick Jagger popping up at bars in other cities on the tour because it probably really chapped his ass that they didn't know who he was.
Or he liked it. Maybe there's part of him that's like,
Well,
hey, I can go to bars
I'm a
and
civilian again.
Yeah.
That's how they tried to sell it to you. For the first 24 hours, he was like, it's actually really nice, And then he was like, man, this kind of sucks, man. Usually
Hell.
I walk somewhere and everybody's falling down in front of me. You don't get 19-year-old Brazilian models to let you leave it in because people don't know who you are.
Yeah, but if you just want a nice night at a bar, just chilling out,
I guess he did.
you want to be left alone.
Either
Yes,
way,
he did.
you can't get no satisfaction, huh?
No! Funny!
There you go. Mary Santora, who is on her comedy stripping tour later this year. She'll be at the Funny Slot in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And
Hilarities.
Do you guys want my DVD collection? I can split it up between the three of you.
No.
how about your DVDA collection? Do you have one of
Sure,
those?
yeah.
All right. Well, you're going to get one
DVDA
real
through
soon.
Z.
How about your DP collection?
Yep.
Yeah. Alan, I sat with David Crosby at a bar in Kent before he went to play the Kent stage. Yeah, I could see that. Again, if you are old enough and you're in a college bar, nobody's going to bother you. That's why those guys are there. Everybody at the show is going to know who he is because they bought tickets to see him.
If you're just the old guy at the end of the bar,
If you're the old guy at the end of the bar.
no one's talking to you.
It makes you wonder how many people any of us might have potentially missed
Ignored.
meeting. Not even ignored. You just don't know that there's no reason to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
I think of ignoring as an active thing. Like you conscientiously ignore someone. But if you don't know they're there, like if I don't know you're somewhere, I'm not ignoring you. I didn't know
Yeah.
you were there.
I guess.
Suffice to say, I would recognize you if you were out in public.
Me?
But would you ignore her?
Yes.
Absolutely. But I would say, listen, I
We're
like to
in
keep
Target. I'm like, Alan! Alan, guys, that's my boss! He's like, I don't know what she's
I like to
talking
keep work at work. Ma'am, please leave. All right, please. She gets on the PA. Alan, ma'am, please leave. There's no one in frozen foods for you to strike up a conversation with.
about. Don't tell me. I'll find a friend.
I know. We have a lot of bureau chiefs, by the way. One guy calls himself a field agent, and I kind of like the...
Very funny.
It's got some tang to it, but I call them bureau chiefs. People are kind of staked out all around North America who listen to the show on the iHeartRadio app, and if you do, I always like to know where you are. And I also like, and I've said this before, and I will repeat it, I appreciate when people update me when they move, because they're under no obligation to do so. But I appreciate the extra effort that takes. We have a guy named Eddie who was a bureau chief in La Mesa, California. That's down San Diego way. And he's moved to West Lynn, Oregon, which is suburban Portland. So he goes all the way up the 5 from San Diego. I think you can take it straight up to Portland. And so now he's our bureau chief in West Lynn, Oregon. So thank you, Eddie. Joe listens in Atlanta. Noel is in West Newton, PA. Brian is in Memphis. Sarah is in Rawlins, Wyoming, which is farther north than I always think it is. I don't know why I always think Wyoming is next to Nevada or Arizona.
It's way up by Montana.
It's up there. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
And it's got a whole state in between it.
There you go.
It's got Utah.
I know. Jackson Hole.
Yeah, my cousin lives near there.
That's an expensive place.
Yeah, she owns an Airbnb there. So
She's raking it in.
yeah, she works at she works at one of the like fancy restaurants there, and then has the Airbnb. So yeah, she's doing quite well.
Good
That's
for
like
her.
a resorty area, right?
Yeah.
Or
It's like
rich people have homes
ski
there.
Yeah.
Resort, yeah.
Jackson Hole. It'd be a great name for the former mayor of Cleveland's autobiography.
It's my opener on my comedy stripping tour.
Hey, everybody! That's right.
Cleveland is perceived to be the butthole of the world sometime, right?
Sometimes, right?
Sometimes, right?
The more we listen to
Sometimes,
that,
right?
I really like the
You know, there's that
sometimes, right?
tacit agreement with
Right.
him.
Cleveland is perceived to be the butthole of the world sometime, right?
Anyway, so bureau chiefs, we've got Ray, who is one of our Canadian bureau chiefs. He's up in Vancouver. And Vancouver is a weird city. It's a giant bowl. It's right over the border. And so Vancouver has a lot of kind of people who went to Seattle to maybe find themselves or Portland to find themselves, and it doesn't happen. So they figured they'd find greener pastures. I don't know what the state is of Vancouver right now, but Vancouver for a long, long time had a very big problem with teenage homelessness, with illicit drug use. Beautiful city, but they have big, big problems there. And so Vancouver is starting to just hand out free hard drugs as part of a program to keep an eye on people and hope that they can kind of mitigate some of the overdose statistics up there. This should show you the stark difference, by the way, between Canadian politicians and American politicians. So there's a group up there in Vancouver who will distribute 3.5 grams of cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin to people because they're just trying to keep people. They're like, look, you know, and even here in the States, you know, cities have had like clean needle programs and things like that.
And they have so much of it because they always confiscate it, or confiscate it. I'm sorry. And so, yeah, get it out there, distribute it,
Confiscate it.
Right. Well, especially over the past couple of years, I'm sure that there has been a sizable uptick in overdoses, too, just with the pandemic and everything. You know, people who were kind of on the edge of things. Mary knows. I mean, she had to, maintain her sobriety during the pandemic.
Yep.
That can't be easy.
The hotel across from my building was used to home people during lockdown, and they were pulling people out of there that were overdosing every day.
Yeah.
It was really sad.
You take their shoes?
Why would I?
Just
I don't
the
want their
laces.
garbage
Confiscate it.
shoes.
I'm sorry?
I don't want their garbage shoes.
Confiscate it.
I like nice shoes.
So this group up there in Vancouver is going to be handing these drugs out to people because they say a lot of these overdose deaths are entirely preventable. People are using drugs that are highly volatile. They don't know what's in them. This way, they're like, look.
Take these.
Imagine if your city was like, look, this is pure, uncut, or at least cut with something safe. Baby laxative or whatever. So 3.5 grams of cocaine, methamphetamine, and heroin each to people.
What a
part
place.
of this pilot program.
Right.
I know. Oh, Canada.
Let's go on a little trip.
That's why the national anthem is "Oh Canada."
It's like in
The
The
stands for
Wire.
overdose.
yeah.
In The Wire, where they had New Amsterdam and everything was legal. And they're like, have at it. Just keep it over here.
That's right. And that was arguably one of the lighter seasons of that show.
I like that season.
Loved the show, but there were a couple of seasons there where you're like, oh my God. The shipping yard season.
That one
and
sucked.
Yeah, of course.
That's the one that
That was
tapped
season
out
2.
on.
That was
Yeah.
season 2.
Season 2, I'm just like, what's going on here?
Guys, sophomore slump.
Yeah.
But, yeah, New Hamster Dance. That was a great season of The Wire. That's right. It was, it doesn't sound like a soundtrack to a show about gangs and drugs.
Remember when this
And it was a really weird pivot for that show.
Remember when this is what people are using the internet for?
Like the most viral thing.
Yeah, like my parents are like, check out this website.
Yeah.
like
Making it
this-
their ringtone.
I remember this being such a funny thing to people that like when we'd have get-togethers,
We'd watch
my
it.
mom would be like, have you guys seen Hamster Dance?
Mm-hmm.
Billy, pull up Hamster Dance.
I said pull up Hamster Dance. And then Bill put The Wire on, and she was very, very confused. Hey, Jason.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
How are you guys doing?
Hanging in, man. What's up?
Not much. I was just calling. I didn't know if you guys heard what the mayor of Hudson said last night at his council meeting.
I did.
About
Everybody's talking
banning
about the
ice-
mayor of Hudson today. Yeah, I did. I did see that.
Yeah,
Listen,
I thought,
is anybody surprised that these people are in positions of authority? Are you? It's a weird thing to say, but nothing shocks me anymore. I mean,
it's just so...
Jeff is
like-
one of our regular emailers and who messages me from Hudson, and he sent me this, and I was like, yeah, it's funny. Doesn't shock me.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
maybe they should
the...
just ban ice while they're at it.
It's just a leap in logic that he's making, where it's similar to Poundcake when he did the whole pastrami thing, where he skipped some steps to get there, and that's what this guy did, where he's like, well, this is going to lead to this, and this is going to lead to something that's way down the line.
Right. Yeah, but again, this guy, the mayor of Hudson is Craig Schubert. We all know people live in Hudson. It's both hoity and toity in Hudson. And, but again, this guy's on record. He's like, he hangs out with that putz Josh Mandel, and, so...
Well, I mean, once you know those things about him, but I never knew a single thing about this guy.
Well, now you know a lot
Yeah.
about this guy. He thinks that creative writing classes are child pornography. He thinks that ice fishing leads to prostitution. That's his leap in logic, because for these guys, it's all projection. So to them, you go far enough down the line, everything leads to prostitution. But yeah, there's a viral clip going around of some city council meeting where he was like, well, once you put your pole in the water, or whatever it is,
Additionally, if you open this up to ice fishing, while on the surface it sounds good,
Good pun.
then what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time? And if you then allow ice fishing with shanties, then that leads to another problem. Prostitution. And now you got the police chief and the police department involved. Just data points to consider.
What data?
Again,
Give me the data.
maybe he knows something we don't know. I've never heard of a data point that said anything, the connective tissue between ice shanties.
Are people hooking up in ice shanties?
There's nothing that gets a gal hotter than being in the middle of a frozen lake in an ice shanty.
cold.
Yeah, with an ice saw cutting a giant hole in there.
Okay. So I'm not in favor of shanties.
I have one more thing.
Of course, the guy's basically met with stunned silence. No one in that room can believe what's going on. But this has really made the rounds. So, yeah, that's what he said. Again, nothing shocks me anymore.
It's on Yahoo News. Like
It's
on all
everywhere.
these global
Everywhere,
publications.
Of course, it's everywhere. Because it's ridiculous. But
It makes
I'm
no
not
sense.
shocked. Yeah, I'm not shocked. But yeah, this is a guy who told the school board that creative writing was basically going to be teaching child pornography if they could write about whatever they wanted to write about and blah, blah, blah. So, there's all these fake patriots who are constantly crying about cancel culture and blah, blah, blah. But They're looking to burn books and, whatever. So, am I shocked that a guy running a town goes, the ice shanties lead to hookups? Now, again, maybe there's a legitimate prostitution on the ice problem in Hudson, Ohio. He could very well know something that we don't know. He does run the town, after all, or he's in charge of it. But I think you'll notice by the lack of collective agreement in that room, it's not like people went, yes, ice shanty prostitution.
It's plagued this town for
far too long. Let's get these ice holes out of here and put them back on land where they belong, in the backseat of cars. So congratulations if you are a resident of Hudson, Ohio, 'cause you're on the front page today because of this guy. I got a break. I will have $1,000 for you around 3:30 if you want to go fund yourself. Just be listening for one of those keywords, and you might get yourself a bit of money. If you want to go see Dream Theater, they're doing a show in Akron end of this month at the Goodyear Theater. I'll get a couple of tickets for you here after the break, and we'll be back.